you are very nice to us because we called you up at rather short notice and asked, can you come in and talk about your wonderful life and work and career and your experience of being a professional woman, but in a very high profile way where you're very much in the public gaze, and how you kind of manage all those competing elements, and what it's like for you as a woman being in the boss lady role. Benjamin, earlier on, co-host Benjamin Ofeado here, to whom you need no introduction, was talking earlier on about people, young women like yourself, who are achieving in the public realm and seeming to do that effortlessly. Now, you're still very young, particularly from where I'm standing. I think anybody would say so.
If I'm about 40 years young.
40 years, bling, 40 is the new 22.
Oh, yeah.
But people would say, weren't you daunted by the prospect of taking on the series of challenges that you've confronted in your life, starting out with deciding to go into the law?
Yeah, I was, Nanaya. You know what? Every step of my career has been one that people around me will tell me, Claudia, this is not possible. Are you sure you can do this? Are you sure you want to do it? But I want to say this, first of all, I mean, I thank God for this, but I believe that I'm built with a character that even people telling me that it won't work, that's the more reason why I would do it. It's just my character.
You like a challenge.
I do. I need to prove to Claudia that it's not possible. I need to prove to me that, I put in 120, 150 and it didn't work. But my thing is, what I like about people who genuinely tell me that it's going to be hard, you can't do it, is I try to think through why they say it's not going to be possible. And I work around everything. Like, I think about all the worst case scenarios and then make sure that I work on those things to make sure I can prove to myself and God and my family and people that look up to me and believe in me that it is possible.
Now, that's determination and a half. But let's dial back a little bit to right to the start. Because obviously you're born in Ghana. What kind of family environment was it for you? Was it a very middle class family with, you started out in the law and economics, training your first degree at KNUST in Kumasi. Was it a family where there were already kind of models to follow, particularly female models to follow, so it wasn't such a big deal?
I think in terms of character, it was because my mom is a very tough woman. She was bringing up 5 children, typical Ghanaian women. I come from a middle class family, so I will say that we had some privileges, but it was still like every home, like hard. My father was very strict with us, you can't, but my father had his career in Germany, so he was a bit like strict, but also if you give him the reason why he should let you do it, you would do it. That kind of father. By my mother, the strength of a typical African woman. She was she had a store in Kumasi market, and she was probably the first person who was bringing clothing from UK, children clothing, so she was known for that. And to see her getting up very early, making sure 5 children, what's my excuse? So I think I saw that character and that strength of a woman from her, and making sure that she opens her shop by 6 o'clock, delivering to people depending on her, and she had a whole family depending on her, and she did all of that. So I think I came from in a very Christian home, my mother praying every morning, making sure, and I, even though I had older brothers, they never lived here, so in my family I was the older child. So that responsibility of also not letting my parents down and not letting my sisters and everybody down, and shielding all of them, feeling like if mom is away, I had to. You were the little mother. Bossy, make it like So I think I always say that I believe everything that God puts you through, He puts you through for a reason, and this person that people see in Claudia and that leadership and the way my personality is like, I think it really started from there.
Did you enjoy the responsibility at an early age, or did you slightly kick against it?
Not really. I think I kind of enjoyed it. I've always been the person that I love it. I am at my best when I feel like I'm doing something for people. So for me, being the older child and, you know, looking after my siblings, and even what I'm not expected to do, I'll do it. Like, because like dad says you shouldn't go there, so I'll make sure you don't go there. Do you know you're not meant to go there? You know, that kind of stuff. So I think, no, I don't think I was running away from it. It's something that came very natural to me, being the mother. You know, when you're a child, when you play like a role in school or anything, you're always the mother in the play.
Always the mother figure.
Always the mother.
It is just like typecast for life.
They always give me the dolly to be the mother with a child and play that role.
But despite that, and despite the fact of your mum, you had the solid business example, if you like, there, the woman who was very serious 100%. About what she was doing from day to day, going there into the market, and
100%.
Clearly had a very successful business there in the market. But you decided to take the academic route, go to KNUST and study economics and law. Now, kind of why those particular subjects?
Okay, so I would love to say, you know what, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. But you get certain grades in school. I was a senior girls' school prefect in secondary school.
Kumasi Anglican.
Kumasi Anglican. Oh, how do you know that? You've done your research.
He's done his research very well.
So that was one thing as well, because in my school, the boys were making it to university, but the girls weren't. So I told my head teacher that when I became the school prefect, that I'm going to be, if nobody in my school this year makes it to university, I'm going to make it to university.
That was what, age 17?
Yes, 17, yeah. So my head teacher, God bless his soul, loved me for that, and I worked like I was crazy because I wanted to prove a point that if no girl makes it from CAS to university, because they were all going to training colleges, that was the trend, and all the boys made it to university, and I was a Kumasi girl as well, and most of the guys that were making it, you know, it was just one of those things, you know. So I had that responsibility. I made it, but then my grades, I think, automatically made me, you know, go into economics, you know, and
you were in
they
a
advised me. And also I was really good with economics, because even my head teachers made me do A-level economics and all of that. I was great with maths and things like that. So they just, you know, encouraged me to go into economics. And I think because I had always had an opinion about something. And as a school prefect at the regional level, SLC, I was a girl they asked to call. I will stand up and talk for hundreds of people. Nobody can tell me to sit down. I'll get up, I'll say my piece, you know. So I think because of the way my character, and I was at secondary school, they were like, you know what, just economics and the law. And I went for it, but it was great.
The character combined with the talent. Why we were laughing earlier on was because off air we had a little bit of a dispute about maths and how, you know, it's easy to break language down. And as I said, if only the same thing could be done for maths. And Benjamin here was talking about a very fine example of another young lady, also in the United States, who recently has been making headlines for Ghana abroad.
Yes, wow. I mean, a young lady like yourself who actually studied actuarial science back at KNUST.
Oh wow!
You know, went on to the university to take a master's program in actuarial science in the US. I mean, also certified as a certified actuary, and graduated with a GPA of 4.0.
Whoa!
So I mean, the whole STEM education, ladies getting into STEM, fits very well into your own trajectory, economics, and also the law. And I took a particular interest in your story because I also studied economics at KNUST, and I've studied law as well. But getting into that fray, that combination, a Kumasi girl, Siano girl, proper one, went to Christian, you know, is it Christian Preparatory School?
No, you
know,
it's scary, isn't
it? So having gone through Christian, went to CAS, KNUST, then got into banking. How was that, I mean, journey like? That that movement, and it's not very surprising that you moved from those courses into banking. What was that working experience like?
It was great. I mean, I started my banking in the UK. So when I finished KNUST, I went to University of Westminster to do my master's corporate finance law, and whilst I was doing that, it's interesting really, because even my role in the banking, I went past the bank one day, which was Abbey National. Then anybody who's living in the UK now is called Santander. I went in, opened a bank account, and I saw the way the girls were, the way they're talking and everything. I said, I can do this job. So the next day I went in as a white guy actually that was really, he was like, Claudia, and it was all white people. So I took my letter in and I said, I think, I want to work here. And then this is funny, and the MD came out. She said, oh, you have to go through like an application somewhere. Did all of that. This was in Lancaster actually, so it was an all white area. And the next week, guess what? I was the only black girl in the branch working. So, and I went from, they picked me as a savings specialist. And within 6 months in my region, I was the top 3 in my region doing investment advisory role. So I became the black girl. Now, I love hair. I always have the big hair. So I became, and up north in Lancaster as well, like the white people they would find it hard to say black girl. They used to say, oh, the darker one.
The darker, the slightly darker skin tone.
Yeah, the darker ones. I became the darker one up there. But the journey was, it's just really, it's just the things that we build as we grow that we're not even aware of. Because I didn't even see it, like, I had situations where I'll have some of these and ladies, like people who are really with big money, coming in thinking that they're going to see a white person. They walk into my office and it's a black girl sitting there, and I've seen them sometimes gone back to the branch manager and said, I thought I was going to see my investment advisor. And they're like, it's Claudia. Yeah, she's the one you spoke to on the phone, and she's the person. So I had those challenges, but it never really, because I always wanted to prove a point, and it got to a point where I'll come into the office and I have a queue of people waiting to see the darker one. The darker one they didn't want to see before. Now there'll be a queue people waiting to see the darker one.
Because of the service experience.
Yes, because of how I was with them and how I was delivering with them, and regional level as well. Like they moved me to Kensington, Chelsea area, because that's where we had bigger, clients with bigger money.
The posh parts of London.
Posh part. So it's something within our character and how we're brought up and how we take some of these things for granted. But it was the same thing that helped me through that journey, and not seeing that, because of the color of my skin, or I just wanted to do my work. That's how, for me, it's just work. When you give me a task, all I see is achieving that task. End of it.
Getting it done.
Yeah.
Wow.
Extraordinary self-motivation and determination. What you said there about how people regarded you as the darker one, and the way it threw off clients, particularly in the north of England, which is very white, has a very working class tradition, and then has, these people who are relatively wealthy, but wealthy industrialists. You don't see many black people around Lancaster, full stop. Is that the point at which you began to think about the image of Africa and how people perceive Africa, and where you began to have the first ideas that led you to Glitz Africa?
It's so true, because I believe, like, working through all of that, I used to look at myself and think, Claudia, okay, 5-10 years down the line, what's it going to be like here in the UK? And for me, I couldn't see myself there. And everything that I was going through made it very clear for me that this is not where I'm meant to be. As good as you can be. And you will put in even CVs, and I will go in and people who don't even have a first degree has got the job, and I'm here with all my qualification and all the profile that I, the experience, the bank, like I was top person within the bank. And I sat them down all in a room. When the day I said I was moving to Ghana, they thought I was leaving for another bank. So even our boss from Spain called me and said, Claudia, are you leaving to another bank? I said, no, I'm moving back to my country. I'm moving back home. And actually, funny enough, he was the one that helped me get my first job. because he told me that, where are you going? I said, I'm going to Ghana. He said, oh, I have a friend that I know from South Africa that has moved to Stanbic Bank in Ghana. So if indeed you're going to Ghana, I'll call him and tell him how great you are here. And he gave me Rian's number. I was a South African white guy. I came in, saw Rian, and I got my job at Stanbic Bank the following month in August. And I went back to the UK, packed my stuff, and moved to Ghana. So you see how God works. So everything we're giving to you, every corner you are, just put in your best. You never know who is looking at you. You never know. And I believe genuinely that's been my journey, because I don't look at people. I don't see class. I don't see people. I don't see men. I just want to get things done. And in my passion and making sure that things get done, you know what? The universe look after you.
You've also talked interestingly about two white men, at least in relation to your banking career, who are willing to give you that foot in the door. Have you ever found, particularly with that transition from the UK coming back to Ghana, that white men had a certain or related to you in a particular way that was any different from the way black men you've had to work alongside have related to you?
You know what? I've never really thought about this because, again, when I'm working, I try not to. But I will say that I've had good relationship with both, to be honest. I guess it's also because of the way I work. Like when I'm working with people, I don't look at myself as just a woman. You know, I don't go into a room thinking I'm not a woman here. I'm just another human being. You know, and I've had great relationship with bosses that were white people. My first boss when I came to Ghana as well was a man. Ben Asante, Benjamin Mensah, who's still at Stanbic Bank, and he was great. And so I won't quite say that. But one thing I think I missed a little when you asked me, my first question was how that led me to Glitz. It did actually. When I came to Ghana and I was working in Stanbic Bank, I actually never thought I would start my own business. All I thought was I would build my career in the UK, get the experience that I need. And I saw myself only in corporate world. So I was like, you know, I'll come into Ghana, get a bank and grow myself to be a top banking executive. That's all I wanted to do. And whilst I was in Ghana, I had my first son. And through what I was going through, because, you know, somebody told me once that, what do you miss about the UK that you don't have here? And that was the question that made me start thinking about what to do for myself. Because with my pregnancy, when I was pregnant with my first son, and with working in Ghana and the way how I work, I was having a challenge with how I work and how people were working, you know, because like I just see work. And
you just go for the work.
Yeah, and if you're just like that, sometimes you're not the best, you know, you're not the best person people want to work with.
Yeah, you're not the most liked person.
Yeah, not the most liked person.
Get the job done.
Yes.
And people want to stand around the water cooler and chat.
Yes.
Right.
And I will just tell you straight in the face that somebody's paying me here to be here 8 hours, and I want to make sure I give them 10 hours, but put it into 6 hours.
Fantastic. Value for money, right?
Yes.
It's not the quantity.
And I used to say that, and I think I wasn't getting a lot of, you know, friends from where I was working, and who's this girl from UK? How much is she being paid? And what kind of, so I think that's what led me to Glitz Africa.
Right.
Because I love bowling, but I thought, oh God, I don't think I can have the money to set up a bowling club. And at the time, 10 years ago, we didn't have any.
No.
There was a small one in Teshi, but I went there and it wasn't really, you know. And I was like, oh, I love coffee and sandwiches, but I don't know I can open a Starbucks in Ghana. So I love magazines, and I had to school myself because I don't come from that industry, and I just use all I know that God gave to me is I know how to make things look good. I have good eye for things, and for that reason, and I love to tell great story. Like when people are doing well, I am genuinely happy for people like that. And I felt like we're not telling our story in a very tasteful way, because I saw the magazine that I came to me, and I thought we could do better than this. We could tell our story in a much more tasteful manner, and that's what I wanted to do, and that's why I started Glitz.
So you wanted the idea of Africa as a model of success.
100%.
The things that we're proud about being Ghanaians, the beauty of the African continent to come through the pages. Now, coming into publishing in Ghana, and as you said, starting out without necessarily having a background is a big thing. I mean, over in the UK, it's quite different. You have a lot of women in very prominent positions in book publishing, journalism, magazine publishing. In fact, those roles tend to be dominated by women, as well as having some great female editors. Over here, we know of the greats such as our very own Elizabeth Ohene and Adjoa Yeboah-Farre, very senior writers and editors. Women in publishing, I was trying to think of this off the top of my head. I can only think of you and Edith Dankwa at the Business and Financial Times. So saying that you were going to start up a publishing company first of all, because that was the first outpost of the Glitz Africa brand, saying that you're going to start out a magazine, what were the challenges that you faced?
Oh God, everything that you can think about. So first of all, aside everybody saying that, Ghanaians, Africans don't read. So why would you want to leave a banking job that is stable, that gives you, a safe salary every month and do this? Aside that challenge, starting with your own money as well, because Ghana, we don't have like a lot of angel investors and where you get seed money and all of that. So I had to trust this process and trust it with my own savings. And also the challenge of even getting the right people to work with, because I'm going into something that it was new. So you didn't have graphic designers who've done, beauty, fashion or lifestyle magazines before. We had magazines, but it was more like a photo magazine. So you're looking for, that was a big challenge. And also my biggest one was even getting businesses to understand that they have to put money or advert in a magazine, because they're used to the traditional magazine, traditional way of advertising, which is a newspaper, radio. Now you're telling me to put in a magazine for, and it's higher amount than what I will pay, and so it was really hard. But it also, really pushed me, and that's what brought me to here, because I will knock on every door, every company. And I was telling somebody that, I didn't build Claudia Lumor in a day. I built Claudia Lumor 10 years ago by knocking on every door.
Putting in serious shoe leather.
Yes. I called it hustle in high heels. So I was going to every CEO, and I'm the one that, I will say, like, I see you, can I have the CEO number? You can't have it. And I'm like, well, I'm trying to sell a business. I'm trying to talk to him about business. I'm not trying to take him for lunch. So I need a number.
So give me the number now.
So I got all the Margaret Thatcher, who is this, and all of that. But in building all of that, I got some brands who believed in it and started with us. And gradually my thing was, and I told myself that even when I do not have the money, I'm going to make sure that I go to print. I'm consistent, because that's what's going to make people see, because people want to be part of something that's doing well, something that's successful. If you start this with all the stress and you come out once and you don't come out again, then what was it? So I made sure that every quarter I delivered, with or without an advert. I'll put in free advert and I'll put it and I'll deliver. And then businesses started calling us and started believing in what we're doing. And then also one thing with me was the story. It had to be a story that will inspire people. So for me, it wasn't a popular figure. People were asking me, well, how do people qualify for a Glitz cover? It wasn't about who is popular. It wasn't about who had millions. It was the story for me. It had to be a story that 10 years I can go back and we can all be proud of it. Because end of the essence of what I was trying to do was to project Ghana, was to project a tasteful side of our country, was to tell stories that are untold. People that are making our country proud, but people don't really know about them. So that was the story I was interested in, and that really brought the spotlight that I needed, the brand needed, and that's what brought us to today.
So not the obvious celebs and influencers route at all. Women from the world of work, women in the professions, women in civil society, and you put them on the cover. They're not just the inside stories. You dress them up beautifully, you make them up beautifully, you do great photo shoots with them, and it's a high quality product as you're selling. You're not compromising on anything.
Not at all. And it's beautiful when you put these women when you think that these women are very powerful, but it's interesting when they see the transformation of they see themselves in the mirror and they look at me and say, Claudia, I've never seen myself like this before. That was something really special, and that's what most of these women the brand gave to them at the beginning of their careers, or in the middle of their careers, and for that reason they still remember Claudia because of what that did to them. You think that they're powerful, they are in the boardroom, but some of them, is that little thing and that confidence that it gave to them, and it's something that I never took it for granted, and really it's really humbling. It still really humbles me.
And you talk about they looking themselves in the mirror, and I look at the 29th edition of your magazine, where you featured Abena Amoa, at the time deputy CEO of Ghana Stock Exchange. Not long after she became substantive CEO. And you add her to Nana Mapoku, who's with CBG, and then of course Nana Joa Hackman of ALA. But you look at all of these successful women, and we look at you, and a lot of people look at it like, Claudia is phenomenal. She's always looking great. She speaks great. And it's not just strong words, but meaningful words, messages that make an impact. And we all look up to you, and a lot of young women, and in our society, family is such a big deal. And you go out there, you are succeeding, you are getting the work done, you are making an impact, and they ask the question, how do you balance that with family life? Because we know you have about three children. And a family, how do you balance work, succeeding out there, making the world a better place, and still making your family work?
I always, this is most of the time the first question when I meet, especially women groups, and I always tell them that, and they laugh all the time. I said, I'm not here to be mother of the year. I am here to be a mother that is present. So when I am with my children, and the time that I spend with my children, you cannot take that away from me. I will not miss that for anything. But then we need to allow ourselves as women to have help. We cannot be at every place at every time. But making sure that the time that you have at home is quality time. And then have somebody that you can trust. I know it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to find the right person to be there. But to find somebody that can be there with your children, that understand your values and will help you to put that values in your children, is what you need. And sometimes women, we need to accept the help. Sometimes we want to go and say, I get up in the morning, I have to take, sometimes I'm asleep. Mommy comes home at 10, 11, and I sleep. And sometimes I wake up and go to my kids' room and they've gone to school. Like, oh, I miss them today. But it's okay. They do understand that mommy's working till late. So if I miss this morning and they've gone to school before I woke up, it's fine. It's how you communicate to them, if they can understand you, and also making sure. And that's the beauty of what we have in Ghana. We do have help. We have a standard family, that can help and support. So we need to accept the help, and also the people that are helping us, make sure that we're looking after them, we're respecting them, and we are that's what I think we need, family. And just also the women looking after ourselves, because I say that if I am unhappy, I cannot give them my children. I cannot give them. I can give them what I have, and in that sense, making sure that I'm building myself and I'm happy and I'm working, and if I am happy, I can give them happy as well. So making sure that the time I spend with them is quality, and I'm also, when I'm out there, I'm developing myself, I'm doing something that's making them proud. Because I tell you what, Benjamin, I always say that I want my children to Google or to hear about their mother 10, 20, 30 years down the line, whether I'm here or not, and be proud of the woman that I was, and to know that mommy just didn't go out and do what I was doing for nothing. So I'm very intentional with how I live my life. I'm very extremely intentional. When I'm in my circle, people see me and actually think that somebody sat in my car and said, "Oh, Miss Claudia, you actually listen to this type of music." I said, "What? I listen to every music. Am I that too serious?" But it's just because I'm very intentional. I'm very, I calculate everything. I just won't just go out for just going out sake. Everything has to make sense to me. Everything has to be, there has to be a purpose purpose for everything, why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And talk about purpose, you know, and we call this segment that you're on today, you gracefully gracing it. We call it the boss lady. We also call you are a CEO.
Yeah.
That's a female CEO, right?
Yeah.
And you see, you found a way to manage home.
Yeah.
You talk to a lot of young ladies in organizations, teams.
Yeah.
They would rather they have a male as the team leader because they tend not to gel very well with other female leaders. How have you managed to endear yourself to your team members, the various places you've worked? You know, you talk about let's get the work done, but also you're working with people that you're building relationships with. How have you cracked that?
For me, it's making them see how great they are. Giving them ownership is what will make them responsible.
Exactly.
So for me, if you work with me, I always bring my team around and I say that you're in this room because I know you were great. I know you were good enough to be in this room. So show me how good you are. And every time they come to me with something, I'll send you back. I always like, tell me, how would you deal with this if you're Claudia? And sometimes I ask them, is this Glitz enough? Is this something that you think will be successful? So I always push them.
You made Glitz a standard.
Oh, yes.
Is it Glitz enough?
Oh, yeah. I always ask them that, you know, whether it's a story, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Because you need to understand the essence of the brand. So it's what you're doing, even how you approach a client. I always say that, even how you pick. I teach my team how to even speak on the phone and how to sit and respond and pick up a call.
Wow.
Because I say that when you're sitting, that's why the reason why somebody will tell you on the phone, they say, "Oh, are you sleeping?" Because they can tell in the tone on the phone the way you are.
Posture.
So phone is very powerful. So I tell them all the time, it's leadership. It's how you take them along and make them take ownership of what they're doing and make them know that they're part of the journey. You understand? So I believe that's my leadership style. I make them part of what I'm doing. I make them believe in the journey and believe that they're good enough to be part of the journey and where we're going, and that put that responsibility on them and make them want to do better. And I always say that you're not doing this for Claudia. Every time they come, they say, "Oh, madam, I'll do it for you." I'm saying, God, the moment you say that, you're in the wrong place because you're not doing anything for Claudia.
Exactly.
Claudia can't find anybody to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're doing this for you.
Yeah.
Here. So do it as you will want to do it for yourself. So if this is how you think you're good enough to do this, is this how you think, or with everything you have in you, this is what you think you can achieve? Go back and give me double of that. Yesterday I taxed all of them. You come in, you give me 50. I said, go back and give me 300 and give it back to me in an hour. And I push them like that. I have a lot of interns now in my office because we have Ghana Women of the Year come in.
Right.
Oh my God. And I say, if you don't cry before you leave here. But they love me for that because for me, all I see is greatness. I refuse to accept that somebody is not good enough. I refuse to accept that. And for that reason, I push people. I want to see how great you are. I even tell them, like, if you dress up, sometimes I'm like, you don't want people, you know, even on social media, I always tell them that you're coming here, you're going somewhere. You have to be on a journey in life. And this is what you want to present on your social media. This is how you want me to look at you when you come to work. I have people that tell them, don't dress up like this. Do you get what I mean? Let me see you and respect the person you are. And I can't respect the person you are. The first thing I see is you. So help me to respect the person you are. And then once you start talking, I can see the depth of what you're saying. So it's just us being on a journey with them and taking them as leadership. That's what will make them.
So the boss lady values come also with real engagement with your personnel. How many people have you got working for you now?
I have about 18, but I have a lot of freelancers that I pay every month.
And a lot of interns, as you said, as well. And just to explain to our listeners, the brand now has grown. You're into events, even on the publishing side. You had a real estate magazine that you're publishing. I mean, if that's not serious business, I don't know what it is. And just to round up, because unfortunately I'd love to carry on talking with you, but we know also recently you've begun to express more of an interest in public life. That thing of you're not scared about the thing of spending time away to work on things that matter with you and you'll care for people. So there have been a few Chinese whispers, or not so Chinese whispers. We know you're quite interested in running perhaps for a parliamentary seat in the next election.
Oh, really?
Does public life not scare you? Women in politics is a different ballgame, and you command respect wherever you go. But politics politics comes with a whole load of baggage. You're not fazed by the prospect of entering Ghanaian politics in particular.
Not at all, because I believe that in my journey and in what I've done, building what I've built from nothing to global brand, it takes a certain kind of character to do that. And I'm also a UN Goodwill Ambassador. So working with people, the vulnerable people, speaking for people and being there on the ground is something that I've done. And it's really close to my heart, you know, when I'm working and achieving something that is not for me, but it's for impact and it's for something bigger than myself.
Your work with the UNFPA.
Yes. So I believe that I didn't set up this thinking even 2 years down the line that this is where my calling will be. But I believe now everything has come full circle for me, because I used to say that, God, why do you put me in these rooms? Why do you put me at this table? Why am I at this? Why am I entering these doors? But now everything is coming full circle for me. I'm beginning to understand why I was on this journey and why certain doors were opening for me and why I was going the way I was going. I believe that I've built enough character to be there, to represent and to lead and to serve and to give myself to something bigger. And if that's what my purpose and my calling is leading me to, and if that's in Ashanti region and if that's in Kumasi, then I am ready to serve. But in terms of being worried about it, no, I really believe that I've built enough character. I understand where I'm going, I understand my purpose and my calling for where I'm heading towards, and I really believe in it. I believe in women in leadership, and I just know women in leadership. I believe in capable women in leadership. And I have a daughter, and I want my daughter to continuously see women that are capable, delivering at a very top and high level. And that's what I am presenting myself, and that's what I am here to do and to serve.
Boss lady of boss ladies. You heard it there from Claudia Lumor, and always looking effortlessly beautiful and well turned out as she tells us about it. Thank you so much for coming in and telling us a bit about your story. Well, I mean, those of you who are not watching us on Facebook, let's just say that you're missing out, right? So just try and visit our social media handles, visit us on Facebook, and you'll see why the woman is the incarnation of a new image of Africa, the glitzy image of Africa.
You know, and Nana, I must say this, and this is a proper representation of who a Siano woman is. Proper Siano woman. Proper. Massive straight.
Yeah.